You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. It's great to have you with me here today. I can't wait to get into this weekend's Cabral HouseCalls, where we'll be sitting down and going over all of the questions that have come in over the past, couple months. We're starting with the end of March with Kayla's question today. And it will take us right through the beginning of April. So I'm excited to get to those questions that came in just about, 10 weeks or so ago now. And, I'm at my desk in my Boston office. I'm about to take my first sip of my smoothie and start to get into the questions. So looking forward to this nice, relaxed morning here at the Boston office and can't wait to answer our community's questions. So without further ado, let's just dive right into them. The first question is coming in from Kayla, and Kayla is asking, I've become an avid listener the past couple of months as I've recently taken a renewed natural approach to my health. I appreciate your wealth of knowledge and that you so gracefully shared with the world. I'm 4 months postpartum and I'm going through quite a roller coaster of thyroid issues. I was diagnosed with hypothyroid during my pregnancy with a small node that was detected. The node has since shrunk in size, but my thyroid problems have persisted. I've been diagnosed with postpartum thyroiditis with a thyroid that went hyper and is now extremely hypo. My endo is sending for biweekly blood work and I'm taking synthroid. I'm getting frustrated with traditional medicine. I want to exclusively breastfeed my daughter, but have had to supplement with formula as a result of the thyroid issues. I want to resolve this in the most holistic way so I give my daughter the best nutrition. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. So, Kayla, great question. And this does happen. So first I want to explain just a little bit about how the immune system works during pregnancy. So it's important to understand that there are often a cessation of autoimmune-based issues during pregnancy for women. And that's because the immune system actually changes in a way so that the body will not naturally go after this new formed life in your body that is actually part of you, but separate at the same time. So we look at that and there's different changes within the body. Typically, not all the time, but typically a female's thyroid will begin to slow. We'll go a little bit more hypothyroid during pregnancy. And the simple reason for this is that the thyroid regulates metabolism overall. We're slowing metabolic function in terms of creating a safer space, a more relaxed space, a calmer space, and also not burning as many calories so the child can get all the nutrition that it needs as well. Now, typically, this will just self-re-regulate after pregnancy, and everything is good. Hormone levels between progesterone and estrogen begin to change. Sometimes women, a month or so after they give birth, can start to see more hair loss. But again, this will self-re-regulate in about 12 weeks total. Same with the thyroid. So it says you're about 4 months, so you're about 16 weeks postpartum. Here's what I need to look at, though, because during pregnancy as well, your body can use up a lot of the stores that you had in your body. And stores, I mean your mineral levels and your vitamin levels. So it would be my recommendation to do this. I would run the thyroid adrenal hormone. I would run the hair tissue mineral analysis. And I would run the organic acids test. Now, if that's too many lab tests for you to run, I understand. And you could run just the thyroid adrenal hormone, and you could look at your T4 and T3 as well as TPO antibodies. Running your TSH is simply not enough. It doesn't give you, not only does it not give you the whole story, it doesn't even give you part of the story. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. That's all. So TSH is actually not thyroid hormone itself. It's thyroid stimulating hormone, which then hopefully your thyroid begins to make T4 and T3. But we don't know if it is or not. We assume on a blood test, if you run your TSH and it's above a 2.5, then you're not getting enough activated T3 inside of the cells. And if that's the case, then we assume the thyroid is low. But again, here's the thing. I want to know if this is autoimmune thyroid, which I need to see those TPO antibodies. And I would also like to see what your T4 and T3 levels are. If they are low, then it could be missing minerals. So please check out the podcast. It's called The 2 Minerals Your Thyroid Needs. So just type in 2 minerals and you should be able to find that podcast. I've done many podcasts on that. And then you can also look up the 4 toxins that affect the thyroid. I've done many shows on the thyroid, and eventually we'll have kind of like its own little grouping of just thyroid-based podcasts because it is so important. So I want to figure out what's going on with the thyroid first. Is there a shortage of minerals that it needs, such as iodine, such as selenium, B vitamins, etc.? So we can look at that, and then we can also look at overall hormone balance in the body and overall stress, of course. So that's the best place to start. Make sure you're not depriving your body of too little calories. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Of course, I know how difficult that can be for new parents, especially a new mom that's trying to breastfeed her child as well. So that's the place to start. And Kayla, wish you the absolute best. That was on 329. Feel free to write follow-up questions at cabralsupportgroup.com. All right, Gio is up next. G-I-O. I'm assuming it's pronounced Gio, but of course, it could be pronounced something else as well. So Gio writes in, I started one of your protocols. Here's the backstory, and here's my question involving it. Thank you in advance. My friend is a big fan of your podcast and really recently came across episode 760. I'm living with herpes and have done a multitude of natural remedies and probably some snake oil salesman-like remedies in the last few years. I've had anal warts completely disappear, but one came back after a few years following a stressful situation. I've been doing everything I can to get rid of this pesky virus for good, as I believe there must be a way. I've not taken any antibiotics. Let's see what else. It's a longer question, so for anybody who wants to read the question in full, I do recommend it. You can head on over to stephencabral.com/1233. That's today's episode. stephencabral.com/1233. And you can see Gio's question in full. Pretty clean diet, they write in. Mostly grass-fed meat and some pasture-raised chicken. Rarely eat processed food. Exercise regularly, but stress and lack of sleep wear down my immune system. I've read up and listened to your podcast in episode 760. I finally found the missing piece of the puzzle in order to rid myself of the virus. My curiosity wondered maybe my immune system has never stopped fighting the virus. All right, let's see what else is going on here. That Sunday, the 24th, with limited budget, I began the ACV, cayenne pepper, GSE 3 times a day, and the lysine plus vitamin, I'm assuming it's vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day, and I believe the wart shrank considerably. What is strange is that I've been extremely congested this last week and blowing a lot of green mucus, assuming that's out of your nose. I was wondering if this could be die-off, causing bacteria. I'm trying to save up for the rest of the recommendations. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Okay. And no problem at all in the details. I know that you wrote in on that. And I apologize, but I want to be able to read so many questions on the podcast, so I can't take the time to read through all of these. And I've always said it's funny because I read books very quickly, but I read questions on the podcast very slowly. And that's because it's different. If you've heard my podcast on how to speed read, you actually read blocks of sentences at once. And so, but you don't read them out loud. And that's the big difference. You read them basically as like an image, and you can train your brain to do that. You can check out my previous podcast many years back on that. So here's the thing. I'm happy to hear that our antiviral protocol is working for you. Keep in mind, this is something that I've really developed over the years, and it's quite in depth, and you don't need to use all of the items on there, but I do give you the ones to at least start with. Let's just make sure that it is that 760 show. I have a lot of them memorized, but not all of them. Yes, that's the one. Episode 760. For anybody dealing with viruses, I give out this show all the time. It's it's stephencabral.com/760. How to destroy viruses, herpes, shingles, and cold sores. So that's what we use. It works exceptionally well. And remember, just because I know that the anal warts and herpes-based issues are shrinking and it's going away, but don't stop. Use it for 8 to 12 weeks. Get these viruses out of your body, or at least boost your immune system so that they stay dormant. Then continue to either stay with higher lysine-based foods and gradually work up slowly with your exercise, your hermetic-based stressors. I did a podcast on that. You can just type in hermetic, 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 and you'll be able to find that show to gradually work up so that your body becomes more tolerant of stress. That's important. And you'll be able to get rid of them as well. I mean, really, we help so many people with this. So, Gio, you're already finding the answers. Keep it going. In terms of the congestion, absolutely. I mean, you are ridding your body of a lot of what it needs to get rid of. Remember, as mucus begins to be produced, mucus is only produced because it's fighting inflammation or infection, right? So that it coats the lining of the mucous membranes in your nose, your throat, or your intestines. That's why our bodies produce mucus. And it also brings white blood cells to the area. So my recommendation for you is some saunas, just don't exhaust yourself, some hot baths with either baking soda and ACV or Epsom salt, some dry brushing, anything that's going to help you to get all of this out of your body. Because again, your body's been worn down with viruses. It's worn down with whatever else is going on. Again, I would love you one day to be able to look at an organic acids test to see if there's any gut overgrowth. That's a lot of times the issue too, which wears down the immune system and allows these viruses to thrive. It's not always the virus. Remember that. I had Epstein-Barr virus and all sorts of issues for quite some time. I would always show high for mono and Epstein-Barr virus. But here's what I want to share with you. When I eventually fixed my gut, got rid of the Candida, H. pylori, and SIBO, and then I sealed my gut, then my body had less to fight on a daily basis, and I removed my food sensitivities. So then there was more energy to divert to killing these viruses, or at least helping them go dormant. And I haven't had any issues since. So let that give you hope, because I know that there's hope for you. All right, so the next one is from Nancy. I was wondering if there's any specific Ayurvedic formula that helps to rev up HCl production. I have become intolerant of HCl. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, absolutely. So Nancy, couple things right now is when I was in Sri Lanka and in India, and specifically in Sri Lanka, almost everyone got an Ayurvedic herbal formula called Trickatu, and it's TRICKITU. I believe that's it. You know what? I don't usually try to look things up because I like to keep things as natural as possible, but I need to look up that, and it's TRIKATU. That is how you spell Trickatu. One of my favorite out there, a lot of people don't know this, so I'm going to keep it under wraps, but we have been testing Ayurvedic and functional medicine formula that's unlike anything that's ever been seen before for boosting metabolism, weight loss, and clearing the lymphatic system, which is why a lot of people are not able to lose weight. Well, one of the reasons I know about this is because I did it not quite 10 years ago, but close to it, overseas. And we're including Trickatu in that. It's an amazing blend of, we just call it 3 fruits, but it's like Triphala, but it's not. These are meant to boost the digestive system. And I can actually just give you those right now because maybe you kind of want to come up with your own formula, right? On your own and just use the herbs. Well, it's very simple. It's ginger. I like to use organic whenever possible, but ginger as a root, it's not as bad, right? Because it's not as sprayed. Then we go with what's called just black pepper. I won't give you the Ayurvedic names because I'll let you find them in the real world. And then there's a long pepper, okay? So pipali is another pronunciation for it. So we're looking for ginger, black pepper, and long pepper, okay? And those will help boost digestion. You take them mid-meal, and that is what I'd recommend to help to boost digestive strength. We call it Agni in Ayurveda, and it's phenomenal. So here's why it works. It actually builds up over time. So you take this for, weeks to months, and then it slowly builds up your own digestive fire. One more thing that I have to add, though, is that your stomach acid is actually made up of hydrogen and chloride. So I do recommend that you're eating plenty of plant-based food, but also that you are taking in enough good quality sea salt because you still need the chloride. So I would like you using a Himalayan sea salt, a rock salt, a Celtic salt, or what's called a Redmond's real salt. Any of those are completely fine. And so I would actually recommend adding a little bit of that to your food as long as you don't have high blood pressure. Now remember, if you have high blood pressure, it's not a salt issue per se. It can be if you're using table salt, but it's a dysregulation of your ratios between sodium and potassium. or as well as, magnesium and potassium. I'm going to take a little sip of my smoothie here. And the other, of course, is constriction of the arteries, which can happen from stress or hardening of the arteries, not enough omega-3s, etc. Nancy, thank you for writing in. I love talking about Ayurveda. I need to talk about it more. I will. I have so much going on in the practice. It's kind of like whatever's most pressing at that moment that people are asking about the most, that's what I talk about, but I need to get back to talking more about Ayurveda. And stay tuned. Late fall of this year, you are going to see a weight loss system that I believe has never been seen before, and I do a lot of research, of course, and I'm combining state-of-the-art functional medicine with Ayurveda. It's going to be pretty great. I'm excited about it. We're already using it right now, but it won't debut to the general public before we do all of our focus groups and case studies. Okay, Lee is up next. Hi, Stephen. I'm a woman in my mid-20s with a background in nutritional science. I'm considering taking the IHP program, Integrative Health Practitioner program, but wondering how much is covered in terms of business and marketing. Many of my health coach peers have taken other certifications that left them feeling like they didn't know where to start or how to find and reach out to new clients with email lists, etc. Does the program provide you with a website such as IIN and IAWP? I'm also wondering if it's accredited by ICHWC or NANP, which seem to be the gold standard in holistic health coaching certifications. I believe the regulations for holistic practitioners should be stricter over time, so it'd be reassuring for many to have that quality guarantee. Thank you. Lee, great questions, really great questions. So keep in mind, all of the content is there. It is exactly how I practice. You get 50 plus handouts in level 1 to actually give your clients. In the business module, which is the bonus module at the end, I tell you how to set up your consultations. I tell you exactly how to complete them. I give you the handouts. I tell you what to do for the intake. So it's all there for sure. And then in level 2, we even take that to the next level. We take you through mock consultations. We show you how to do that with lab testing. I give you examples on kind of how to package everything together. So here's the thing. I do business, which I call more like career-based coaching, from the perspective of how do you provide the most value to the person you're working with? That's the thing. A lot of other people try to show you like hacks of how to do this to get the most clients. I don't show you that at all, because what I do is this. I do push versus pull career-based building, which means I don't want to push anyone to come to see me. I want to pull people into my circle naturally. So what we do is we build practices based on getting people phenomenal results where people's bodies and mindset change, their mind and body, so that when people see them, they say, what happened to you? I want some of that. And then naturally you get all of these referrals from that. But of course, we also want to set you up for success. So we show you what your website should have, all of these things, and we're actually going to give you a business building option, for a website, all of that. Keep in mind, integrative health practitioner, at least for the next month or two, is like as we debut for our first 12 months, is less than half the price of these other programs, and you get twice the value. There's no doubt about that. Okay, in terms of certifications, yes, so again, it takes a little time to apply for all of these. We're applying to all of them now, but here's the thing. Whether we receive them or we go for them or don't go for them, our teaching never changes. Like it's never going to change because this is what helps people. If someone says to me, oh, you need to not say this or you need to add this, I'm not going to do it for an accreditation. No, I don't believe in it. My goal is to help people heal themselves and to teach that information to others. And I will never compromise. I will never compromise for more money. I won't compromise for more prestige. I won't compromise to get more letters after my name or to be credited by the XYZ LMNOP. I just won't. I have no interest in that. No interest. And it doesn't matter. Like if I don't get a TV show or something like that because of that, I'm perfectly happy with that. Very, very happy with that. They would never let me on TV saying what I say on my podcast. It goes against the grain. So Lee, I appreciate where you're coming from, of course. And I actually do believe that we need stricter standards as well. And we're already holding ourselves to that. So nobody needs to hold us to the highest standards. I am harder on myself than anyone else could possibly be. I hold myself to the highest standard possible because I want to sleep well at night. So yes, we're applying to them. We already are board certified, meaning our practitioners that graduate can apply to become board certified as holistic health practitioners. We're applying in Australia, we're applying in Europe, and we're also looking for others in the United States. Stay tuned for more of that. But people join the Integrative Health Practitioner course to learn more about how to heal themselves and those in their family and community. And then they join the certification to become great health coaches in terms of information. They don't come for, in my opinion, for more like necessarily initials. It's just my opinion. I'm not trying to be off-putting at all because I appreciate where you're coming from. And believe me, we're going, for the higher and stricter certifications, and I would love to be able to be a part of that. But keep in mind, it's just people that are behind all of these XYZ LMNOP, initials. It's just regular people. There's no governing body. There's nothing. There's no real, again, like, what are we talking about? Even in terms of like public schools, who's setting the standards? It's just regular people with their own agenda. I have my agenda. It's to help heal as many people in this world as naturally as possible. That's my agenda. That's it. All right. I'm stepping off my soapbox. Lee, I apologize if I was too hard, but now you know where I stand, and I always like people to know where I stand. All right, Maria's up next. Hello. I was wondering what you would recommend as far as tests and TX for my husband. I don't know what that means. He has skin issues that come and go. Looks like a fungus. They are round lesions that appear. They itch and burn. Also has fungal issues with his toenails. Thank you for any help you can offer. All right, Maria, thank you for this question because this is an easy one for me. Circular fungal-based skin lesions is typically ringworm. Fungus of the toenails, typically candida-based. Itching, whether it's toes, foot, jock itch as they call it, etc., all of that typically fungal-based. There's one test and one test only that is the best at looking for yeast and fungal overgrowth, and that's the organic acids test. So, Maria, there's 3 tests that I'm going to recommend. Organic acids test is first. Stool test is second to look for parasites, H. pylori, and then bacterial overgrowth. And then I'm also recommending the food sensitivity test, which is also a backup for candida overgrowth, okay? Candida albicans specifically. So, Maria, thanks for writing in. That was on 4-4. Do keep in mind, you can write into Cabral support group, and you get basically same-day answers. Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Can you tell me if you've ever had a client with membranous nephrotic syndrome? Since this is an autoimmune disease, I would assume we would focus on the gut. Maybe an organic acids test? What else would you suggest for getting to the root cause and putting this in remission? Thank you for everything you do, Anonymous. All right, great question. And, again, like we've pretty much seen it all. When we're talking about membranous nephropathy, which is also called as well, it's essentially looking at a deterioration or an inflammation in the kidneys. Okay, that's what we're typically talking about. And I apologize if we're talking about 2 different things, but that's what we're talking about. It's typically a kidney-based issue. And you're absolutely right. But I want to go a little bit deeper because you mentioned the organic acids test. But we're not just doing that for your typical candida overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth. That's important. But my main thing for people with kidney-based issues, like as long as it's not a congenital, which means born with, or inborn deformity, which means it was kind of born in a misshapen way, because kidneys can actually be misshapen. But let's say that it's just, it's come later in life. Okay, here's the thing. I always look at, for kidney-based disease, I look at intestinal permeability, increased intestinal permeability or leaky gut, because of also the protein maldigestion. Low stomach acid, intestinal permeability, allowing larger amino acid-based strands, which we call proteins, into the bloodstream, which then the kidneys have to filter. The kidneys have the hardest time filtering proteins. So here's the thing. Typically, we're going more plant-based, at least in the beginning, easier to digest. We're building up stomach acid. We're definitely doing a candida bacterial overgrowth protocol. If we find that on the organic acids test, on the stool test, we're going to seal up that gut wall, and we're going to, just overall improve the blood. So if it's not contraindicated by your doctor, we could do a detox to start. I would first do your lab test, organic acids test, a Big 5 if you can. The Big 5 is the absolute best place to start. But if you can't do that, organic acids test first, then stool test second. We're going to do the candida bacterial overgrowth protocol if we need to. We're going to do the detox first, as long as it's not contraindicated by your doctor. And then we're going to heal and seal that gut wall. That's exactly what I would do if I found all of those things in my practice. Again, I can't provide medical advice over a podcast, right? Our goal is not to diagnose, treat, or cure. It's to help people at a root causal level and work on the root cause that we find so that we get the body healthy. And remember, a healthy body can't be sick. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's Cabral Concept. I appreciate you. Thank you for all of your reviews. I read every single one on iTunes and other media players, so thank you so much for those. And of course, if this podcast has been helpful, please do feel free to pass along to anyone else you believe it could serve. And tune back in tomorrow. We'll be back with more of our community's questions. Take care, everyone. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only two ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.